Wanted to know, how do you read a script live if you're not fast at Braille as a reader? And then also, do you record with headphones on?
I depends on how I'm feeling as to whether I record with headphones on. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Whenever I am in a session with a client, obviously I have to. Because I don't want my speech chit-chatting at the client, and I want their background noise to not interfere with my recording as well. So yes, I have headphones on whenever I'm in a client-directed session. But much of the time when I'm not in a client-directed session, no, I don't record with headphones on. Mm-hmm. I think that's a really great question about if you're not a fast Braille reader, what do you do? There are people, Pete Gustin is one of them, who have sort of developed this skill of listening to the speech, read him the copy, and then speaking it, You have to remember that most of us turn our speech up really fast, and it talks really quickly, and we can understand it really fast because we're used to it, right?
There's definitely a talent to being able to. There was a point when I was in college that I didn't have a Braille display. I didn't have one. I hadn't asked the state for one, and I didn't have the money to get one. And so when I was called upon for. Actually, I used to be called upon during Spanish. So not only was I trying to read, Spanish, but I was trying to read it with voiceover, who wasn't really. I hadn't quite figured out that you can, switch your voices and things. So I'm listening to Alex speak Espanol, which doesn't really work so hot. And I'm trying to read it back, and it sounds horrible, and it was horrible. It would have been a lot better with either a Braille display or a synthesizer that could speak Spanish, but I didn't have either at the time because I just didn't think ahead that semester, and I had to figure it out really fast. I had to figure out how to read from my speech.
Yeah.
And now, if somebody sends me a text message, an article, and anything, and VoiceOver is reading it or JAWS is reading it, I can do it. I don't know if I could do it for long periods of time. I don't know. I've never tried doing an audiobook with it. That's when you might want to start investing in some Braille skills or something. But if it's I've done little because I do all kinds of freelance little side jobs and things like that, and I've done 30-second audio clips and and you just listen to the speech and you just go with it.
It is a skill, and it does require practice. But there are people who do it really, really well.
It's doable.
Clearly, actually, you're one of them. And what I was going to say too is, with voiceover, generally speaking, you are not talking nearly as fast as we're used to hearing speech. So you really can slow that speech down, and work with it that way. And again, this goes back to the beauty of your own studio. You don't have to do directed sessions with people. Because what often happens in a directed session is that they will add alt lines, or they will change the script, or that So you can do that with speech. I guess it depends on how good your skill set is with reading from speech. I think it's completely possible, but again, you just got to practice it. Yeah. But that's the issue I come up with people who are blind that want to do voiceover, is they somehow think that there's. How are they going to read? You have to figure that out. That is absolutely paramount. You got to know how you're going to manage that. And I don't care how you do it. If large print works for you, great. If Braille works for you, great. If reading from your speech works, great. But you have to do it, and you have to do it effectively and well. That's a critical.
I have a friend who was telling me a story. She does a lot of voice acting too. And she does a lot of, mostly I think she does audio dramas and things like that. And she went to some conference or something, I guess, where they had to read from a teleprompter, and she had to figure out how to make that work for her.
She's blind too, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So they were all supposed to work on the script, and they were supposed to read from a teleprompter, and I don't remember how she did it. I don't remember the specifics of how she made it work, but I know that she definitely made it work, and the conference was fantastic, and it was a great experience. But one of the challenges that she faced, I remember her telling me, was that she had to, her cast had to read from a teleprompter.
Wow. That's. I'm telling you, this is going to be a whole webinar. It just has to be. I think a lot of people are really interested in it as a vocation.
in you guys' direction because I think that it would be a great team.